timing now as he crosses the line shows that he pulled more time on that lap out to 4.2. So that car works well in the wet and the dry, and we need to log that in our minds for a little later in the year. He's also got clean air, which is a critical thing. And the fastest man on the road at the moment is actually David Bernard, who's moved up to third, and then Dumbrell runs wide into the kitty litter. So David Bernard has had a pretty good weekend in terms of his recovery, Matthew. Oh, Dumbrell around. And there's more to that story because there's some damage there in the front right corner.
There you go.
Yeah,
there's the big story. There's a wheel gone loose, and that is Paul Morris's Sirame Wines VY converted car, and it's a real mess. Smoke pouring out the rear, out the front. Let's just hope that Paul Morris is okay.
It's a huge shunt.
That's big time.
Front left wheel and bits of the wishbone and brake ducting have all gone, and the red flags come out. So just, this has happened before here in this event on Sunday morning where it's turned into something of a catastrophe. So the red flag goes out. I doubt very much whether this event will be restarted. I think it's game, set, match for V8 Supercar this morning. And a few people will probably be quite happy about that. Get them packed up, get them in the trucks and get them out of here.
Well, the safety guys are there quite quickly. It's in the cockpit where they go straight away and just make sure that Paul Morris is okay. Now let's dissect all of this. We saw Paul Dumbrell go off and then there was trouble. So
he may have come back out in front of Morris, I'd say, but look, we won't preempt it. Let's wait for the pictures to tell the story.
I think if you keep
he just came out and they made contact.
And then obviously straight into the wall on the right-hand side of the track for Paul Morris.
And everybody else scrambles to avoid the drama. Pretty hard to pick a line through there, and Morris made big contact with the concrete wall on the right-hand side. So we were missing the little middle segment of that where Dumbrell was just coming back on, and not enough margin between the cars.
Well, for a split second, it looked as though Paul Dumbrell had escaped empty-handed from his little off, and then...
Gee, that's got a lot of damage on it. There's now, we talked before about the nightmare between the two events. Look at the damage. Start adding up the dollars on that one.
No thanks.
And, you know, you've got that team's based on the Gold Coast, so with major repair work like that, you've got to go back to square one. Incidentally, the declaration has been made that insufficient ground has been covered to declare this a race, so it doesn't officially even exist in the books at the moment. No winners or otherwise, so just a non-event, literally.
It was like that from the word go, wasn't it? We had problems as they gridded up, problems as they warmed up, and then big problems when they finally got out there and started throwing these V8 Supercar machines around. There's Paul Dumbrell walking away from the scene of the crime, if you like. Obviously, it was just a case of Paul Morris couldn't get out of his way. Thankfully, Morris is out of the car. That was clearly an almighty hit that he had at the end of all that mess. Morris's front right is damaged, but nowhere near to the extent that Morris's VY Commodore, which was the leading performer of the new style Commodore all the way across the weekend, in fact, and it stopped us talking about a good performance from David Bernard. The times obviously bigger blowouts than what we had across the good condition races for races 1 and 2, but Bernard had just posted a 2:23.377 to move up into third position. He started from 10th, and I can tell you 2 days ago when I was down there having a chat to David Bernard in the newly created FPR team, he said to me, I'm still getting to know these guys. You know, there's all these new guys here. I'm still getting to know the car, the guy who's tuning it for me, absolutely everything. This is all brand new. The start, go back to turn 1. And this might give us some clue as to what happened with Paul Dumbrell.
This is just some of the aggravation throughout the race, I think, Matthew.
That was Max Wilson?
Yep, Max's little tour through the blue. That's a lot of damage on that car. That's... Darryl, what have you got for us?
Bargs, you're saying a bit greasy out there.
Yeah, geez, this F1 race is going to be interesting to watch when it's those guys are racing on these conditions. It was pretty greasy out there. I mean, it's unfortunate for the Orcon Ford. I mean, we just bit of a touch in the first corner, a bit of a touch in the second corner, and it's bent the steering arm, so I just sort of got everyone's way and just keep the car for Adelaide. It wasn't worth pushing on.
Easy enough to fix to get it all ready for Adelaide?
Oh, yeah, we probably could have pushed on then if it was a points race, but, you know, I mean, those conditions for what really, and it's turned out to be a no race anyway, so Yeah, it's still a good result. We're still at the pointy end of the field, and hopefully we can carry that through to Adelaide. So, yeah, that's good.
Thanks, Mark.
Go the forwards, I say.
Just down here with Terry Morris. Now, have you had a chance to maybe hear what's happened? How is Paul, and what's the latest?
Paul's fine, Greg. No problem as far as Paul's concerned. He's obviously a bit upset that the car's been totaled because the boys have put so much effort into getting the car here. The new suspension car was going very, very well in the wet conditions, but that's the way it goes.
Did he give you any sort of description, or the team any description on how it happened?
He said something about someone with a rectum had did something in front of him and just drove straight back on the track.
All right, hard luck. We'll stay with this while we're down here because Ross Stone is with us as well. So, Ross, a good result as far as Russell is concerned, but perhaps not the way we wanted the race to end.
No, I don't think anybody wanted to finish like that. We were really hoping for a dry race, a few little changes, get us ready for Adelaide.
How much sort of benefit have you had now that you've had some time in the wet for both Marcus and Russell?
Well, I think it's been a big bonus for us. As I said, nobody wanted to see a finish like that, especially I've just heard from Terry that Paul's okay, which is the main thing, but I'm sure we're in pretty good shape.
Good stuff, well done.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Morris
was actually 9th at the point of that shunt, and Scaife miraculously had got up as far as 8th, so he climbed through the field pretty effectively, so those cars were working pretty well in the wet. And there's the scars on the wall from where that VY Commodore wrote its signature down there.
So the bottom line is that we got 2 races out of the V8s across this weekend. The Netspace Showdown produced 2 different winners, and if you like some sort of parity, Holden, Team Brock, Jason Bright winning race 1, Ford, Stone Brothers Racing, Russell Ingle winning race 2, and the Weather winning race 3. Paul Dumbrell's car gets loaded on. Not as much damage, nowhere near as much damage as Paul Morris's car, but the good thing is that both of these drivers walked away, and if we get this far further on down, can you imagine what the guys in the Celebrity Challenge are thinking? I mean, these conditions make normal drivers nervous.
Well, they've had intensive training this week out at Sandown, but I'll bet none of